Hey guys, MBG here. I'm sorry I've been gone for a while. A lot of things have happened. Right before Christmas, our dog passed away. Our dog, Bernice, he passed away. He was a Red Pitbull mix. And then we had Christmas. And then a few days after Christmas, we lost my grandma. My grandma passed away from Alzheimer's. So this video is dedicated to her and her memory, and also it's gonna be a little bit educational because it's gonna be about Alzheimer's, because I think that there should be an awareness about Alzheimer's. You know, it's one of those diseases that no one really talks about because it's just no one really talks about it, and that's kind of sad. So with that said, I'm going to give you some facts, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. You know, these facts are pretty depressing, but they're pretty much true. Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S. That's pretty bad. More than 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's at the moment. These are all facts that have been compiled from 2016. So, yeah. 1 in 3 seniors will die from Alzheimer's or another form of dementia, that's quite a bit. In 2015, more than 15 million caregiver providers provided an estimated 1.5 billion hours of unpaid care. So doing it out of their free time. Alzheimer's costs caregivers more than their life. Costs more than their lifetime. Every 66 seconds, someone in the U.S. develops Alzheimer's. In 2016, Alzheimer's and other dementias, in other words, other diseases like dementia and everything, will cost the nation $236 billion. That's a lot of money. Family caregivers, meaning people who, like a daughter, son, someone in the family who cares for the person who has Alzheimer's. Family caregivers spend more than $5,000 a year caring for someone with Alzheimer's. For some families, that means missing a vacation, but for others, it means going hungry. That's pretty bad. It kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. Yeah, so that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. You know, there's ways to, I guess that this is, let's see, the mortality rate among people age 70, 60% of those with Alzheimer's are not expected to live before seeing the age of 80. 30% without Alzheimer's, that's quite a bit. 61% of people age 70 of those with Alzheimer's are expected to die before age 80. So they won't see. So their mortality rate is pretty high up there, which is pretty sad. So yeah. Caregivers in 2015, 15.9 million families and friends provided 1.8 billion hours of unpaid care to those with Alzheimer's and other dementias. The care that is estimated economic value is $221.3 billion. Approximately 2/3 of caregivers are women, and 34% are over the age of 65 or older. So in other words, it's probably like a spouse taking care of their significant other that has Alzheimer's, which is really sad. 41% of caregivers have a household income of $50,000 or less. That's not very much. On average, care contributors lost over $15,000 in annual income as a result of reducing or quitting work to meet the demands of caregiving, which, again, get into a story in a minute. So basically, over $15,000 in annual income was reduced as the result of reducing or quitting work just to meet the demands of taking care of somebody, especially if it's a family member. The financial impact. Alzheimer's takes a devastating toll, not just on those with the disease, but the entire family, which is very, very true. Alzheimer's is not a fun disease. It's hard on the person who has it, but it's even harder on the family. And I'm saying this from personal experience. Care contributors are 28% more likely than non-care contributors to struggle with having enough money for proper meals. Yeah, it's pretty sad. In the state of Oregon, which is where I'm from, I'm going to take a look here. So these are just percentages of people that have Alzheimer's in my state. So in the year 2016, which was last year, between the ages of 60, what was this? This is the number of people aged 65 or older with Alzheimer's by age. So this is by age group. So there's different age groups. So between age 65 and 74, there are 9,400 people suffering with Alzheimer's. 75 to 84, 25,000. 85 plus, if you're lucky to live that long with having Alzheimer's, 27,000, which is a total of 62,000 people with living with Alzheimer's in the state of Oregon. That's a lot. A lot. Medicaid costs of care for people with Alzheimer's in 2016 in the state of Oregon was $25 million. That is a lot. The number of deaths for Alzheimer's in 2013, again, the sixth leading cause of death in Oregon, and the 10th highest Alzheimer's death rate in America, which was 1,312. That is a lot of people. And I keep saying that's a lot, but it is a lot. When you think about it, it's like all of these people that are affected with this disease is horrible. And we need to put more awareness out there, because we need to find a cure for this, and we need to find a way to combat this horrible disease that is affecting people all over the U.S. and I'm sure it's affecting people all over the world. The number of Alzheimer's and dementia's caregivers, hours of unpaid costs of unpaid care and costs of caregiving in 2013, the number of caregivers was 173,000. The unpaid caregiving, hours of unpaid care, total unpaid hours of caregiving was 193 million. That's a lot. The total value of unpaid care was $2,446 million. The highest cost of caregivers was $100 million, and that was back in 2013. And that was just from my state. Can you imagine yours, whatever state you're in? Can you imagine? I will link to where you can actually look up the figures for your state. I will link that down in the description down below. So, story time. Back when I want to say before me and my ex got married, so my early 20s, we found out that my grandmother had Alzheimer's. And she was like in her late 50s, early 60s, I want to say. Maybe mid 60s. I'm not quite sure. On the age. Sorry. But she was very she was very tidy. She kept a very clean house. She had this thing with my other grandmother that she would call her at 9 p.m. on the dot, 9 p.m. on the dot, every night to have what they called tea time, because they would both have a cup of tea before bed. So that's what they did. Well, later on, my mom started noticing things, like she was paying bills that she was getting scammed by fake billing companies, and she would go to her house and her dishes would just be sitting in the sink, like it was like very unusual for her character. And then my other grandmother started noticing that she would be calling like at 9:30, and then it would get later and later, and then there were days where she just wouldn't call at all. So my mom took her in to the doctor to get her checked out. Come to find out that she had a early stages of dementia is what they thought. So they're like, oh, it's early stages, we'll put you on some medication, everything will be okay. Well, it wasn't okay. It got worse. It got to the point where she started walking and forgetting where she was going, because that was her way of transit. That was her only mode of transportation, was walking places, unless my mom took her somewhere. And so she just started getting lost, and there would be days where she would be out on the front porch at like midnight, just staring off into space. And my mom would get phone calls. Hey, did you know your mom is outside right now? Do you know what time it is? And it got to the point where my mom was like, you can't live on your own. You need to come live with me. So my mom moved her in here, into my mom's house. And that was about 9 years ago. And so my mom began caring for her. Well, my mom also has a job. She is also a caregiver for a company called Uncle Homes for the Handicapped. And she does caregiving that way. So it was like second nature to her. And so my mom would take care of my grandma, go to work, come home and take care of my grandmother. She just, over the course of years, she just started getting worse. And, we started noticing, like, really, she would, like, say the most off-the-wall things. Like, when I was living here with my ex at the time, when I got pregnant with Aiden, she fell out of her chair. She tried to stand up on her own, she just fell. She forgot how to stand back up, which was very scary. And then, she got a little bit worse. And one of the things with Alzheimer's is you can't have dark colored anything. You can't have curtains, rugs. The example that they've given, that I give to everyone, about this, is, say you place a dark colored, like a navy blue mat on the floor. Someone with Alzheimer's doesn't see the navy blue mat. They see a hole in the floor. So they will try to skirt around so that way they don't fall or feel like they're going to fall. So my mom made the mistake of putting a dark colored pillowcase on a pillow. Well, that triggered her Alzheimer's, which one of the side effects of Alzheimer's is that people see things that aren't there. So she saw a chicken on her pillow. So my mom had to chase the chicken away. My mom has told me stories of the time where she was laying in bed. My mom had a baby monitor in her room, my grandmother's room, that hooked to my mom's room. So my mom was in there listening one night, and she was talking to the 7 dwarves. The 7 dwarves were in the bedroom. She also talks to people that, have been dead for a while. It's a horrible, horrible disease. And I know I've said it multiple times during this video, but, people forget when they have this disease. They forget who they are. They forget who their family is. And that's got to be hard on them. But for someone who is a family member who helped take care of someone who had Alzheimer's and who has seen the rapid decline of someone with Alzheimer's, it's so hard to watch because, you see this person of who they used to be, and you see that part of them being taken bit by bit by bit by this disease. And it's like their spark of life just disappears, right before your eyes over the course of years. My grandmother was in her 70s when she passed away. So she was part of the statistics, you know what I mean. And, just being there for her in her final moments, sitting there with my mom. My mom didn't go to work. There'd be days where my mom missed work because she had to stay home because my grandmother was having really bad hallucinations. So my mom would stay home to help, stay home to take care of her. So there goes the unpaid hours of caregiving. Right there. There's a big example of unpaid hours. Like I said, sitting with my mom because I didn't want my mom to be alone. My mom sat with my grandma all day the day she was gonna go, and we knew Christmas that she was not gonna be with us for very much longer. Because my mom asked, are you ready? Ready to go? You done? And my grandma nodded, yeah. And so we sat with her. I myself I'm Wiccan, but I can tell my grandma's spirit was having a hard time letting go. So I grabbed the Bible and I just started sitting there and reading right out of the Bible. Grabbed my phone, started reading hymns, And like I said, I'm not very much of a religious person, but in that hour, I felt like she needed that. We lit a candle. We turned the lights off. We made it very, very calming. And at 12:38 a.m., December 27th, 2016, Marilyn Seaton, my grandma, left the mortal coil and went to wherever it is you go. We say heaven. Well, I say over the Rainbow Bridge. I say that for animals and people because that's what I imagine. You walk over a Rainbow Bridge into this land of awesomeness. And when she left, I told her, I'm like, go be with your family. They're waiting for you. And there was times where she would stop breathing, and my mom's like, "Okay, go check." So we had a pressure cuff attached to her arm. We would take her blood pressure, and took her blood pressure, and I would go take her blood pressure. She'd take a big breath. I was like, oh fuck. Blah blah blah. And then finally she was gone. It was hard when she left. Right before the mortuary came and got her, I made my peace with her. Not gonna lie, me and my grandmother, we did not have the best relationship possible. But I told her, you know, despite the fact that we did not have the greatest relationship, I still loved her because she was still my grandmother. So I made peace with that. So yeah. I'm gonna leave some links in the description for the Alzheimer's website for you guys to go take a look at. I'm also gonna leave a link for you guys to go check for your own state, see what the statistics are for your state for Alzheimer's. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave you guys with the message of love your family. You know, no matter what you've been through, no matter how hard things can be, your family will always be there for you. So yeah, so just love one another and hug each other, tell each other you love them. You know, tell each other you love each other, because you never know when you get called home. So that said, I'm MBG. Where you stay you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.